Hello, Mcievers here, and we're going to do a little Mcievers tech tip. And what are we going to do today, Chase?
We're going to show you how to make musky leaders.
That's right. That's what we're going to do. We're going to show you how to make musky leaders, make them yourself, and save a little bit of money in the process. And plus you get a little enjoyment out of making them yourself. So what I'll do is I'll show you some of the components I use and the actual making of the leaders themselves. Alright, stay tuned. Alright, so what I'm going to do here is show you some of the components that I use, and I've got some stuff laid out here. Basically what I do is I'll get a little box and I will buy some 100-pound Berkeley crosslock snaps, some sleeves, and also get 100-pound swivels. And now if I'm going to be making leaders for bucktails, usually what I'll do is I will go ahead and pop on the better ball bearing type swivels, and I'll spend the extra money for the better equipment. And what I'll do is I use the 100-pound swivel double sleeves so you can crimp your line, and then the snap itself, and once again it's rated at 100 pounds also, so I try to use that. And 100-pound fluorocarbon line is usually what I go with. I use 100-pound almost all the time, and then everything is rated at 100 pounds, my swivel and my snap. When you buy your sleeves, you have to make sure that you get the right size for the line that you're going to be using. So if you're using a 100-pound mono, then you want to use the proper size crimping sleeves for that line. And basically I just use a razor blade to cut my line, and then I'll use this crimping tool, or it's an electrical tool actually, but I use it for crimping my sleeves. So we'll get started here, and I'll show you how I put it together. Okay, so the first thing I do is I'll take my line here, and the next thing I'm going to do is take my sleeve, my crimping sleeve, and I'm going to slip it onto the line itself. And basically what you do is just run it through one side. It's a double sleeve, so there's like two sides on it. So I slid it through, and now that I have it on there, I'll take my swivel that I'm going to use, and then I'll place it on my line. And you just run it through the eye. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to run the line back through the other side of the double sleeve, and I'm going to stop right at the edge of it. Okay, and now what I've done is I've just made a loop, and then I'm going to pull it down to the length that I want. I'm just going to shorten it and just make the loop really small. Okay, and now once I've done that, then what I do next is I will crimp the double sleeve, and basically what I do is I start in the middle of the double sleeve, and I kind of squeeze it down just a little bit, and I'll squeeze again, and I'll keep on sliding that sleeve little by little and just squeeze it in the middle. And then what I like doing, I like turning it sideways and then I'll smash it together this way. 1, 2, 3, about 4 times. And I just kind of evenly space it. And then once I've done that, it is connected. And now I'll cut my line to the length that I want. And if I'm making a jerk bait leader, usually I'll make it about 6 inches. So then once I get my length, then I'll cut my length that I need. Once again, I try to use the razor blade for that to get a nice clean cut, because that way it helps when you want to put it through the double sleeve. Then once I have my length cut, then we want to put our snap on the other side. But first, what we want to do is we want to slip our double sleeve on our line, like so, just on the tip. And then I'm going to make a loop. Before I make that loop, I will take my snap that I'm using, my Berkley Crosslock 100 pound, and I'll run it through the end, and then I'll make my loop, and I'll run my other piece of line through the other side of the sleeve, and then we're going to shorten it down and make it a little bit smaller so that the snap's hanging on there. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to pull on it. I'm going to shorten that line down to where it makes it a little bit shorter, and then we're ready to crimp the sleeve, and then we will have completed a leader here. Now if I'm making leaders for bucktails, like I said, I'll use a better quality swivel. And I usually, depending on how big my bucktails or my whatever I'm throwing, like if I'm throwing a big double cowgirl with big blades, usually I will make my leader as long as the lure that I'm using. And there we go. There's a leader right there, complete, with the snap on one end, the swivel on the other end to tie to your line. And this one, like I said, is 6 inches, and I would use this one to throw a jerk bait. And the Crosslock, the Berkley Crosslock snaps work really well. They're very dependable and reliable. And that's how I make my leaders. And once again, that's 100 pound mono. And you can get almost, at least 4 months use out of one of these leaders without it failing. I've never had one fail, but I will change them out periodically because the snaps will get weak from opening them and closing them a lot. So sometimes you have to check for that and make sure that your snap is still holding up. And once again, I use the shorter leaders for throwing jerk baits or other topwater lures. This is a topwater lure, and that's what I would use that leader for that I just made. Alright, well, that was my Mcievers tech tip on how to make a muskie leader, and I hope that'll be helpful to some people that would like to experiment on making their own leaders. And once again, the 100 pound fluorocarbon works really well for making leaders. The strength is very good, and the abrasion resistance is very good also. So once again, I hope that'll be helpful, and thank you.